Hello, friends. I'm Vanessa Guerrero, and joining me today is Cassandra Peterson, aka Mistress of the Dark, aka Elvira. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
We're going to be talking about the wonderful new Elvira statue from the fine folks at UNESCO, which you could see right over here. It's stunning. I definitely want it for my own collection. But before we take a closer look at the statue, let's learn a little bit more about the icon that inspired it. Cassandra, I'd read that your mother owned a costume shop. Did that serve as a direct influence for when you were putting together and creating the iconic Elvira look?
Uh, I I think it did, not directly, but I grew up having the most fabulous costumes of any kid every Halloween. I mean, when they were wearing these cheesy little rubber plastic masks and little outfits you'd get like at the dime store, I would have this awesome outfit of whatever was the happening thing at the time. Like I would be Jeannie from My Dream of Jeannie, or Morticia Adams, or Ginger from Gilligan's Island. So, although it didn't directly influence Elvira's look, it definitely got me in the mood of dressing up a lot in costume.
And just exploring the imagination element of it. That's so cool. And I'm such a massive Ginger fan, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I think I was the original cosplayer, possibly.
Honestly, I think so. Now, we are at Sideshow, so we love comic books here. And I found it really interesting that you're actually a bit of a Superman fan yourself. What is it about Superman that draws you to that character?
Oh, I don't know. When I was a kid, I'd go to my uncle's drugstore, and there was a little wire rack of comic books. And I loved Superman because this is strange. I talk about it in my book. He reminded me of my dad. I
Really?
thought that was maybe Superman, and that maybe when I was sleeping, he was out, doing superhero stuff. I don't know. He had like this greased back black hair and muscles, and I just fantasized that he was my Superman was my dad, and so I just really loved him, and it was my favorite superhero as a kid. I bought every Superman comic book I could lay my hands on.
I love that so much. So, before you became the Mistress of the Dark, I saw that you were a member of the improv troupe, the Groundlings, and you expertly combined the funny with the very creepy and the macabre. What were some of your inspirations when it came to marrying horror and comedy?
It was kind of an accident. I went in on the audition. I got the gig. The director there had seen me at the Groundlings, so thankfully he wanted to put some comedy in the show. Before they had had Vampira years and years before, and she played it a little more straight and spooky,
Yeah,
kind of
more
like the
serious.
drink a glass of blood kind of thing. And he had seen me at the Groundlings, so he was willing to let us be funny. And we saw that the movies were so crappy that I was showing that we
Hmm.
had to be funny about them. We had to, there was no way we could try to tell an audience that this horrible 1950s movie was really good. So, I mean, some of them actually were good, and then we had a harder time coming up with jokes. But they were so low budget that my writing partner, John Paragon, and I just started to make fun of them. And thankfully, KHJ, the station where I worked, was okay with that. We did get some flack from some film companies, like Canon wrote back because I said it must be Canon because they definitely threw in the towel. And wrote back and they all PO'd at me because I had put them down. And then when my show got a little more popular a couple months later, they came back hat in hand begging me to show more Canon movies. So yeah, worked out.
I love it, just playing with the campiness of it. What were some other TV and movies that you were very like inspired by when it came to the character creation?
Well, people were asking me what was I inspired by. I wasn't directly inspired by anything except probably Morticia Adams.
Mm.
I had always been a huge, huge Adams Family fan. They were on TV when I was growing up, and it was just my favorite show. That and Ginger, so from Gilligan's Island. So maybe I combined the two. I don't know. Morticia Adams with a little more sex appeal, perhaps. But I love the Addams Family because again, they combined horror with a little comedy.
Yeah,
So that was a big influence on me.
I love that. It's something so evergreen and everlasting.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't
Now,
feel like I ripped her off. I hope I didn't. I just tried to make a little 80s take on the Homeward Tisha character.
absolutely. Now, as I can see behind you, you have quite the extensive collection. You have the coolest merch that my house is also filled with. What are some of your favorite pieces of Elvira in your collection?
Well, I have quite a few maquettes, which I loved, many of them over the years. The first one was a tuned up Elvira statue. And I have a lot of those. I mean, I think maybe my favorite merchandise, though, is probably my pinball machines. I've got three, and I'm a big pinball fanatic. So getting a
Really?
machine, yeah, I just used to spend so much time in clubs playing pinball that I don't think I'm that good at it, but I just enjoyed doing it. Um, but having a pinball machine named after me and now having it one of the top pinball machines of all time is kind of like winning the Academy Award for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than the actual Academy Award itself. So that's pretty thrilling to be able to have my own pinball machine.
Speaking of incredible collectibles, let's take a look at this gorgeous statue by UNESCO. It's a quarter scale design from Grand Jester Studios. This sculpt is just stunning.
I love this sculpt, and I'm not kidding. I worked very hand in hand with them. Of course, they did all the heavy lifting, but I okayed every little bit as it went along. And I freaking love it. I love that it has a real dress. We worked on the face over and over, so many elements of it. And I really love the way they have it mounted on that sort of like almost looks like a hood ornament or something in the base of it. They did a fantastic job, and it's a beautiful, beautiful collector's piece.
It's really just incredible. And you mentioned hood ornament. Was this inspired by Macabre Mobile at all?
It definitely was, yes, because I do on my Macabre Mobile. I have a hood ornament that is Elvira, and she's in a little bit of the same position, but she's all chrome. She does have the wings in my on my Macabre Mobile. They're in lucite, but yeah, it's similar to the hood ornament, only 100 times better.
Absolutely. The tailoring of the dress, the detail in the hair, and the wings legitimately look very leathery, like bat wings.
I know, don't they? I love that. Like I said, the ones I have on my car are lucite, so they don't have the folds or anything. They're just solid.
One of the reasons why I'm so thrilled to have this figure myself is horror has become such a comfort for me and many folks. I have to ask, do you think there's a reason why horror has become almost like a comfort mechanism now?
You know what's really funny? I'm doing something that's coming up, which I can't really talk about, but you're all going to see it very soon. And it talks about real scientific proof that when you see something very, very scary and not real, of course, something fantasy that's frightening, and when it's over, your brain gets a big release of dopamine and serotonin, and you feel relaxed and you have less anxiety and you feel comfortable after the horror element. So watching horror brings up all of these hormones, and then when it's over, it releases and you have this great sense of well-being.
It makes so much sense. It's that immediate relief of, oh, I'm fine, thank God.
Yeah, and you get all this flood of dopamine and serotonin into your brain, the same hormones that go in when you're in love or when you exercise really hard, or a lot of different things. But it's awesome to hear that you can get it by watching horror. Now that doesn't mean don't ever exercise or fall in love, though.
For my own curiosity, as the mistress of the dark, have you ever had a supernatural experience yourself?
I have, and my new book, Yours Curly Elvira, I write about this house that I lived in, Briarcliff Manor, where I just had nonstop freaky things happening. But one thing I'll mention that wasn't in the book, when I was a child, I was really into the Ouija board. And when I was in about third grade, I had a Ouija board, and I'd try to talk my sisters into doing it with me. They didn't want to. I talked friends and they didn't want to. So I would just do it by myself. And I knew that I wasn't moving it because it was only me. But it would just go flying around the thing. It would just telling me these stories about the Salem witch trials. It was so bizarre. And one night I got really freaked out and I put my Ouija board in the closet and went to bed. And as I was laying in bed, okay, this may just be a third grader's imagination taking off. I could hear the little Ouija moving around like scritch, 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 scritch on the board. And I was so terrified. I was frozen. I'm getting chills right now.
I know, I have goosebumps on my arm. You can't see it, but they're there.
I couldn't get up and like do anything about it. I just kept hearing it on the board by itself. Okay, so like I said, could have been a third grader's vivid imagination, which I certainly had, but as far as I remember, it was really happening. Next day, I took it out and threw it in our incinerator and burned it.
I would too, though. That thing would absolutely be in the garbage the next day where it can't haunt me.
I still love Ouija boards, though. I've never had one that will just go on its own since then.
It was just that specific one. You tapped into something that day.
Something.
Speaking of your book, Cruelly Yours, Elvira, we're loving it, by the way. In the biopic of your life, would we see you both potentially starring or in the director's chair?
You know, probably not either. I would probably get another actress to play me. I'd probably have to have several other actors because they'd have to go from, being born to 70 years old. I was thinking maybe Dolly Parton, okay. No, I'd find somebody with the right assets, as you know. But no, and probably not directing, but I certainly would be very, very hands-on. I mean, I think I would be working as the writer or together with the writer. I would certainly have my hand in it, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Very much overseeing that creative vision.
Right.
Also, I can hear gasps around the world already for the potential Dolly Elvira crossover.
I love her, and we have a lot in common. We have two big things mostly, but I'm a huge fan of hers, and I kind of am the dark side, and she's the light side of whatever we are.
Yeah, the yin to the yang of just the icon for everyone.
Yeah.
Folks, this wonderful Elvira statue from the amazing team at UNESCO is available via sideshow.com right now. And don't forget, it is limited edition, so it is sure to fly off the shelves. Thank you for watching, and Cassandra Peterson, thank you so much for being here with us today. How would Elvira sign off?
She would probably say, unpleasant dreams.
An actual dream fulfilled.